Hey guys, Mathel here again. I'm still fairly sick, but I'm going to do a quick Atziri run with the old Cyclone cast on crit, several spell build, and yeah, hey, today's Atziri run, unknowingly and proudly sponsored by Codra Relief Max Strength, lemon flavor or something. I currently have no taste or smell, and yet it still manages to taste absolutely awful. So if nothing else, that's pretty damn impressive. But I digress. The setup I have chosen to use for most maps and clearing is Arc, Ice Nova, and not Arctic Breath, Flame Surge, my bad. And the purpose of this video is just to kind of show you how pretty quick, easy, and painless it is to do Atziri runs at this stage of my gear. Which still isn't terribly expensive, it's mostly just the fact that I have a 6-link carcass that boosts the price up to any sort of amount. I don't even know what that is. I think that's a Chaos Warband? Cleansed by the Mute Wind. And I'd never seen those guys before, no idea what's going on. In any case, purpose is just to show that it's pretty damn easy. Main cost is in the 6-link carcass, everything else is fairly affordable. It's just kinda maybe hard to get. A Vegan Dagger, some Arion jewelries. A Rat's Nest costs about an Exalt, and it is highly recommended. Still not completely essential to the success of the build. Aside from that, everything's still pretty damn cheap. Atziri step boots. They don't cost much either, and I'm still using a very shitty Vegan Dagger. So all in all at the moment I'm mostly just missing about 40 spell power from my dagger and some good attack speed. Aside from that I'm pretty well done. I do have pretty average jewels as well though. That said, you don't kill the vials particularly instantly or that fast, but it's really not a big deal because you have essentially perma flasks up. Thanks to Surgeon mod. And with the Surgeon mod, this build boosts up charges extremely quickly, so I'm just pianoing flasks all the time, making sure they're all up, giving myself 85 to all resists. Yeah, now as you can see I didn't change out my Arctic Breath for Ice Nova, because you can still use Arctic Breath to clear with. It's of course going to be worse AoE than Ice Nova, but it doesn't slow you down too much, and it does help defensively by giving things chill as well as the freeze. So I use Arctic Breath in place of Ice Nova for tougher maps, or things that I need more single target damage on. And it's okay to just clear to the trio with this setup, because I'm going to be swapping into the setup for the trio anyway. Now you can notice I still do have Fortify attached to my Whirling Blades, and I'll get that later, and my Frenzy, so I'm trying to keep it up whenever I feel like I need to, and that will certainly be factored into the trio fight. But trio, business as usual, pop both your vials, jump in, trigger Fortify, and spin to win. Now you don't really want to attack this guy when he's enraged, because it's a lot of Thorns damage, especially when you hit as much as I do. And then you just sidestep this guy several times. Keep up your Bleed Flask permanently, and the rest is history. Yeah. And like I said, 6-link carcass, not entirely essential to the build. If I only had a 5-link, I would probably be using a tabular at this point. Either that, or I wouldn't have Life Leech. I'd still be using 3 spells. It's just a bit more dangerous, and I know most people don't like to play without things like Leech or High Regen. So 2 spells plus Life Leech might just not quite cut it for the tough situations. So a tabular to at least have that 6-link going. But play around with things, it's up to you. You'll figure out what you like most. So with the ease of which I am doing these Atziri runs at the moment, it does kind of lead me to think about Uber Atziri. There still will be some troubles though. Things have a lot more life, and my damage just won't be scaling quite as well as it does on normal here, where I can just about steamroll everything. It's going to take, the fights will be longer, and I'll grab that later as well. And something like the trio is going to be very problematic, given there's no Mortal Coil, cast when damage taken set up these days, and single target leech is a lot worse than it used to be. I think there's still a good chance I could get through it, but it's certainly not the face roll that Fakener once was for Uber Atziri. Now for the setup, Atziri, I typically swap out Arc for Freeze Pulse, but I've just figured out that I can keep Arc in, even for the mirror phase, without too many issues. And Arc does most of the work for the ad phase here. So even if you do take out Arc for Freeze Pulse, you'll have to swap it back in for the actual ad phase, because it just cleans up a lot smoother. You could do it without, but it certainly does it a lot smoother. Strategy here, run around, let her place her first Flame Blast, recharge your Frenzy just before you do any spinning, and then get straight back into it. And since, as you can see, my flasks are up pretty much all of the time, you just mash them, make sure they're up, in case you get hit by anything, really. And my current strategy is to stay at the opposite end of the mirror Atziri, and that is because Flame Surges sometimes will hit if you're right next to it. And usually that won't kill you, but it will take a good chunk out of your life. So I just target whichever one is opposite the mirror ad, and go nuts. You can of course tank a couple of Flame Blasts, a couple of Storm Coils with your flasks up, but if you can avoid it, then I would recommend trying that, running away when she's about to cast her Flame Blast. As you can see, it's a pretty cruisy run at this stage. And then for the last phase, if you've still got both your skills up, file skills, by all means use them. And then you really become pretty much immune to the spell damage, because you have something like 70 spell dodge. And most of the time the spells will not be hitting you. No! Please don't go into the ad phase! Nailed it. So that is just the normal Atziri run on this character. I do by now have level 20 spells, no level 21s. That's not particularly important. It is about 10% extra damage on each spell if you have 21s as opposed to 20s. So it's worth getting, but they're pretty tough to make happen. One other thing you can do as well is throw in Fire Trap over Blood Rage for this fight, because you won't be using Blood Rage at all, and that allows you to burn normal Atziri. So not one of the 4 split phases, just the main Atziri. If you throw a Fire Trap onto her, she'll be burnt, and then Flame Surge will have its extra damage applied as well. I haven't been doing that right now because it doesn't really matter, but if I was to tackle Uber Atziri, I would be doing that. That's that. This was, once again, the Fakener. Cast on CoC Cyclone with whatever spells you desire. Hope I wasn't too sick for the video, and thanks very much for watching, guys. See you next time.